Hey, it's Elwood. This is another action lighting video. All right, so this is part 2 of rope light basics. Today I'm going to be going over how to cut rope light, how to attach a power cord, and how to attach an end cap. These are all really easy things to do, but you will need some tools to do this. As you can see in front of me, you'll need a heat gun, you'll need a pliers, a wire cutter, a heavy duty shear to cut the actual rope light, and a pin. Now the parts you're going to need that are inside the box of the rope light when you purchase it are going to be, of course, the power cord, the connector pins, shrink tube, the end cap. These are all included in the box of rope light you just purchased. So let's get into it. Let's cut some rope light. So what I'm going to demonstrate today for you is basically the same for incandescent and LED. The way you attach everything is the same, which is really nice about rope light product. So what's really important when you cut rope light is that you have to find the cut mark first. You cannot cut rope light anywhere you want to. You have to cut it right here on this mark. Here at Action Lighting, we put a little scissor that's printed on the actual rope light. Okay, if you're having trouble finding the scissor, you can also look for this jumper wire right here that's connecting to both sides. But that's what creates this section of rope light. So go ahead, take your heavy duty shears, and we're going to cut right on that scissor. Now we have the cut section of rope light. What's really important with Action Lighting rope light is that all of our wires are offset. What I mean by that is the wires aren't perfectly in the center of the rope light. This is something you're really going to want to pay attention to as you use our accessories. So the one thing to do is if your rope light is cold a little bit, try to warm it up. Do not plug it in to do that, but you can hold it in your hands. You can use a heat gun or anything like that. But the first step you're going to want to do is to twist the rope light a little bit. And as you can see, the wires will poke out a teeny bit right there. Okay, when you got those wires poked out, you want to take your wire cutter and then trim those back as much as you can. Okay, the reason you're doing that is to allow room for these pins to go inside the rope light. Okay, when you're pushing these in, it's really important that you keep them straight in line with the wire. You don't want them to push down into this open cavity or possibly touch the other side. It will cause it to short out. So once you get those wires cut back, you got some nice space in there. You can always use a pin if you have one to actually poke it in there and widen those holes a teeny bit. So it's just easier to push the pin of the connector in. So when I do these, I always use the pliers just because it's a lot easier on my hands. You know, usually when we do these, we end up doing quite a few at once. So basically, it's really important on the power cord connector pins, okay, you have pointed on one side, round on the other. Very important. I'm going to repeat that. When you're connecting a power cord, you always use the connector pins that are pointed on one side, round on the other. So before you push the power cord on, it's really important that you take your shrink tube and put that on the power cord. Just kind of saves a lot of time. Especially if you're doing a long run or something like that. So I like to get that pushed over the power cord. And then inside there, you can see the 2 pinholes for the rounded pins to go in. Make sure you have those aligned and then start to push those together. Okay, and then once you have those pushed together, we'll go ahead get the shrink tube over it, of course. Okay, so it's really important to check your connections once you've made them. So I just pushed this together. I haven't attached the shrink tube yet, but you're gonna wanna plug that in and make sure it lights. Now I know I have a great connection and I can continue on with the other steps. Once you've attached the power cord, it's really important to also include an end cap. If anybody were to touch this end, it is possible to get a shock. So it's pretty much the same idea here. Is you basically put your end cap on, take your shrink tube like this, slide it over. I like to line the shrink tube up to as close to the top of the end cap as possible. and then you'll use your heat gun to basically heat the product, sealing it and making a nice seal on the end of that. As you can see, after we ran the heat gun, we got a nice seal around the power cord there and a nice seal around the end cap. So after you sealed it up, it's always important to test these. You'll want to test this connection once you actually make it, before you actually seal it. And then after you've sealed your end cap in, make sure to plug these in. As you can see, got a nice connection. We got this section of rope light lit. So like I said before, the steps are exactly the same for LED rope light. The cut marks are going to be a lot longer and spacing. And remember, there's going to be a big square block in your cord, and that's the rectifier. Otherwise, you use the pins the same way, the shrink tube and everything else. Hey, I hope this video was helpful. Tune in next week when we're going to do another video on the basics of rope light and how to connect other accessories. Hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out with the boss. And hey, if you have any questions about what you're seeing in this video, please give us a call, 406-586-5105. And if you like email better, you can shoot me an email at elwood@actionlighting.com. Remember, all the products I covered in this video are all online at actionlighting.com. Thanks for your time and thanks for your business.